late drama. No one marking Palmer.
Stream all 380 matches for just 90 kwacha on Showmax Premier League. Visit showmax.com to get started.
Please, come with me.
Get all the best of GoTV.
Also,
Wow.
let's do it.
Plus Premier League. Plus more movies. Plus more fun.
Our fun is just beginning.
To the future.
We're gonna baby.
Plus series galore. Oh, this is better than good. It's better than great.
All hands on deck.
It's Super Plus.
Welcome back home.
Upgrade to GoTV Super Plus today.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for tuning in to Parliament Television this afternoon. Live debates will be coming your way starting at 14:30 hours, and to be with you on live transmission, my name is Pauline Monga.
And my name is Ntali Felele Smate. It's a lovely afternoon to everyone tuned into Parliament TV this afternoon, 20th February 2025. Pauline, we have a number of issues that we have to share with viewers. Of course, looking at business that took place on the floor of the House yesterday, and indeed business that is expected to take place on the floor of the House today. We'll start with yesterday's business.
Yes, we'll look at yesterday's business of the House, but before we do that, we do not forget to mention that we are joined by our sign language interpreters Chola Kaoma and Jason Manda, who will be there this afternoon to do the sign language interpretation. So we have a look at yesterday's business, which started with the three announcements to announce the presence of visiting schools, and the first one was pupils and teachers from Rhodes Park School, as well as Luansha visitors from Luansha Parliamentary constituency, and also visitors and pupils and teachers from Sunshine Academy School in Lusaka. And on behalf of the National Assembly, the Honorable Madam Speaker welcomed the visitors to the institution.
Okay, thank you very much. So those are the announcements that were made on the floor of the House yesterday by Madam Speaker. And then after that, there were urgent matters without notice that were considered on the floor of the House. And you recall that, yes, actually, there was just one matter, and it was inadmissible. This one was raised by Mr. Kapianga, and it was on the removal of 15% tax on the export of precious stones and minerals. And it was not admissible, like I said earlier on. So there was just one urgent matter without notice yesterday. After that, Pauline?
Yes, after that, the House went on to consider questions for oral answer. In total, there were four. So question number 207, understanding orders 80, was not considered on the floor of the House due to the fact that when the question came up, the Member of Parliament was supposed to ask this question was not in the House, so the question lapsed, and therefore the House went on to consider question number 208 to 210, understanding order 80.
And then after that, two motions were considered on the floor of the House, and both of them were moved by Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Kangombe. So the first one was a motion to urge the House to establish legal aid offices in all districts countrywide. And in moving this motion, he was indeed urging the House that in order to enhance equitable access to legal representation, he did urge the House, the government, to establish legal aid offices in all districts countrywide. And as I said, this one was moved by Kamfinsa, Member of Parliament. And Pauline?
The other one was entitled Formulate Guidelines on the Issuance and Management of Municipal Bonds. And in this motion, he was urging that this House urges the government to formulate guidelines on the issuance and management of municipal bonds. So those are the two motions that were moved by Mr. Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa, and both motions were adopted by the House.
Okay, thank you very much. And then After that, there was a subject of debate on the motion of adjournment. And so yesterday, subject of debate was basically of course introduced by Mr. Kafuaya, and his subject was that to take practical measures to reduce the cost of living. And at 17:37 hours, Pauline, the House then adjourned. This is due to the fact that there was no quorum. So after the bells being rang, still another 5 minutes the bells were rang and the House adjourned. Of course, that is something that does not usually happen, but it happened yesterday. So after there not being no quorum, the bells were rung for a total of 10 minutes, and then after that, the House then adjourned. So that is, in a nutshell, business that took place on the floor of the House yesterday. So today?
Yes, we shift our attention to today's business of the House, which is Thursday, 20th February 2025, and business of the House should be beginning shortly. And in total, we have 3 ministerial statements, and we also have 2 questions for oral answer and 1 motion. We have a brief look at what is expected on the floor of the House today. Muta.
Okay, so the 3 ministerial statements, 2 of them will be delivered by the Minister of Health, and the first one will be delivered by the Minister of Education. So the first one by the Minister of Education is on the new education curriculum, and then the second one by the Minister of Health on the health status of the 6th Republican President, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and the Forum for Democracy and Development President, Ms. Edith Nawaku. And then the other one by the Minister of Health is an update on the MPOX situation in the country. So those are the 3 ministerial statements we expect to be delivered on the floor of the House. After that?
Yes, we have 2 questions for oral answer under Standing Order number 80, and one of the questions is expected to come from Ms. Nakaponda, Member of Parliament for Isoka East, and she's directed her question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. And in the first part of the question, she wants to find out whether government has any plans to harvest water during the 2024-2025 rainy season. And the part B of the question, what other measures are being taken to ensure adequate supply of water is delivered in Isoka.
Okay, and then the second question will be posed by Kalawa Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Chingamiyutu. He wants to find out from the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development what the country's annual copper production was as of December 2023. He also wants to know how many mines were opened from January 2020 to December 2023. And in the last part of his question, he wants to know what measures have been taken to increase copper production. So those are the 2 questions for oral answer that we have this afternoon. And then we have a motion, Pauline.
Yes, Muta, we have a motion expected to be moved by Mr. Sidney Mshanga, Member of Parliament for Wacha, and in this motion he wanted to urge that the House do adopt the report of the Parliamentary Select Committee appointed to scrutinize the presidential appointment of Justice Evans Mwembani Hamaundu retired, Mr. Kaumba Mondela, Mrs. Engwase Bandamwale, Mr. Jack Kalala, and Mrs. Nalucha Benandet Ziva to serve as chairperson, vice chairperson, and members of the Anti-Corruption Commission Board, respectively, and Mrs. Daphne Pauline Soko Chavu to serve as the Director General of the Anti-Corruption Commission (ACC) for the 4th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on 19th February 2025. Just now we go to the floor of the House.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
Let us all have people join as one, brothers under the sun, oh one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry, dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Remain we stand under the flag of our land, Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
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 Order, honorable members, I have 4 announcements. The first announcement is that, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Grandma Nursery and Primary School in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. The next announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Kabwe Secondary School in Kabwe District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you, and you may take your seats. The third announcement, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Inspire Leadership School in Lusaka District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. I thank you. You may take your seats. The last one, honorable members, I wish to inform the House, or the honorable members. Honorable members, I wish to inform the House that in accordance with the provisions of Standing Orders 176(3), I have made the following changes to the composition of the Standing Orders Committee. 1, Mr. Stephen Kampyongo MP to replace Mr. Remember C. Mutale MP. And second, Mr. Davison Mungandu MP to replace Mr. Emmanuel M. Musonda MP. I thank you. Honorable Member for Mitete, you had your mic on. Were you requesting for a point of order, or what was the burning issue?
Speaker.
Okay, noted then, thank you. So we go to the next item, urgent matters without notice. The Honorable Member for Solwezi East.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise on a serious urgent matter without notice on matters of national security directed to the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, the Minister of Defense, and/or the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Madam Speaker, there is information going around in the public domain and various media platforms talking about a secret plot to destabilize Zambia, with one video of a renowned prophet stating that war is coming to Zambia, and calling Zambian government to put the army in order in areas of the DRC and Zimbabwe border areas, alleging that the leaders of these nations have been holding secret meetings with the intent to incite instability in Zambia. There is also a statement, Madam Speaker, of one nation with history of supplying weapons to conflict zones across the world, and that there is potential of infiltration of arms into Zambia via Uganda. Madam Speaker, these alleged issues could work a significant escalation in political tensions and pave way for unprecedented chaos in our great nation Zambia. Madam Speaker, there is also a report linking the former regime and one great leader of a great superpower and two regional leaders of Africa in an alliance, stated plans that I've just alluded to. And this insinuation, Madam Speaker, cannot be ignored. Looking at the happenings in DRC, in Kivu, and so on, and also the recent PS of Defense visiting Northwestern, where he stated that Zambia needs to be alert on the border areas. Madam Speaker,
your time is up, Honorable Member. Can you wind up?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, may the Minister of Internal Security or Defense or Home Affairs come to this House and assure the nation that Zambia is not heading for war. Madam Speaker, we are so concerned and we need your serious indulgence in this matter. Thank you.
Yeah. Order, Honorable Members. Honorable Member for Solwezi East, if what you are saying is really true, in my view, it's not a matter that should be made a subject of this House. It's a matter that should be looked at seriously by the responsible ministries to ensure that measures are taken to avert such kind of situation. And the worry that I have is this news that we get from social media. There's so much misinformation, disinformation. So if we follow what is written on social media, we will now turn ourselves into have you heard house. So such matters, I think we better leave them, especially that is touching on national security. Let's leave it to the responsible ministries to deal with it, and I'm sure they would want to deal with it in a particular manner than to bring it in the House and alarm the nation and everybody. So maybe for now, let's leave it. I'm sure the powers that be have taken note, and they'll make their own investigations and find out if this is true or not. If it's not true, of course it will lie, and if it's true, measures will be taken to deal with the situation. So the next one is the Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The matter of urgent public importance without notice I wish to raise is directed at the leader of government business. Madam Speaker, the rains are needed, but they've come with a a lot of damage to public infrastructure. In this case, I'm talking about Kaumbe constituency, 1x3 classroom block blown off, roof blown off, Wankala Primary School, a bridge, Pamanzi Bridge, talk about Mwembezi Bridge. 3 major bridges are on the verge of cutting off communication. Disaster management unit is on hand really to provide relief, food, also tents to victims. But the guidance on damage to public infrastructure is not there. We go to CDF, our CDF is completely utilized. How do we deal with the public infrastructure that is damaged due to rains? Is the leader of government business in order to not to give guidance on how to relieve damage caused due to damage on public infrastructure caused by rains. I thank you and seek for your serious indulgence.
Honorable Member for Kaumbwe, I think we have guided previously that when we have a disaster in our constituency, the office of Her Honor the Vice President is open, is available at all times to be engaged, and you bring to their attention whatever situation that you have in your particular constituency. I know the rains, we all cried for, wanted the rains. Now the rains have come. There are adverse consequences of rains. When we had a drought, we also had the adverse consequences of a drought. So everything that comes, it comes with its own repercussions. All we have to do is to be on top of things, manage the situation. If we see that there is a situation that cannot be attended to by the local community, that's why we have the DMMU unit, which is run by Her Honor the Vice President. Please let's engage. I have not heard at once that Her Honor the Vice President has not been willing to attend to any situation of that nature, because that institution is there to attend to such situations. So please, Honorable Member for Kaumbwe, you are encouraged to engage the office of Her Honor the Vice President if you have not yet done so. If you have done so and you have not received any help, then that is something else. But please, I'll ask you again to engage Her Honor's, the Vice President's office to see how these people in your constituency can be assisted. Thank you very much. The last one will be the Honorable Member for Itesh-Tesh. We only allow 3 at a time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. My urgent matter without notice, Madam Speaker, is directed at the Minister of Sports, Honorable Elvis Nkando. Madam Speaker, in this world there are only 3 things: football, religion, and politics. If these 3 things are not managed very well, they can create chaos in any country. Madam Speaker, in the last 2 days, in the sporting fraternity, there's been a lot of speculation, there's been a lot of noise, and if this is not managed, Madam Speaker, we are afraid we, the soccer lovers, will not see Zambia participating in most of these international matches and participating in the football space. Now, Madam Speaker, I know that FAS is managed by the FIFA regulations, but ultimately they are financed by taxpayers' money. Even if the government might have a little say in its administration, government is an interested party in how football should be governed. Now, is my minister, who is also my namesake, in order to keep quiet when at that house, the football house, there is tension, and this involves the entire country, Madam Speaker. Football is everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, we will be turned into an inquiry, house of inquiries. But I know this issue of fuzz has hit the headlines and people are concerned. Maybe what I can suggest to the Honorable Member for Iteji is to put in an urgent question. Then the Honorable Minister can be able to address that issue. Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, I will use my discretion to allow you. You may proceed. What the urgent matter?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the urgent matter without notice which I wish to raise is directed at the Minister of Water. And Madam Speaker, we have confirmed information that the Kafue River has been contaminated. And as a result of that contamination, Madam Speaker, Nkana Water and Sewerage has issued a statement confirming the contamination. As a consequence, Madam Speaker, of this contamination, all the water treatment plants that are supposed to provide water to Kalulushi, Kitwe and Chambeshi have been closed. And as a result of that closure, Madam Speaker, we do not have water in Kitwe, we do not have water in Chambeshi, and we do not have water in Kalulushi. Is the Honorable Minister responsible for water? In order, Madam Speaker, considering the nature of the issue at hand, the fact that we don't have water reaching the homes in these particular towns is in order, Madam Speaker.
No.
Not to come this afternoon,
No.
to come and assure the residents of Kitwe, the residents of Kalulushi, the residents of Chambishi, that steps have been taken to resolve the problem and to quickly reconnect the water to the residents that are affected. Madam Speaker, this issue is about access to water, which water, Madam Speaker, is a very essential commodity for our homes. And obviously, your indulgence, Madam Speaker, requires that a matter is responded to. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I can see the Honorable Minister is anxious to say something, but our rules do not allow. So, yes, it was only yesterday when the Honorable Minister was here, delivering a ministerial statement on the pollution of water. I don't know if he touched on that aspect. If he didn't then, but since the matter was only discussed yesterday, I will suggest, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, that you put in an urgent question, which the Honorable Minister can be able to address. Well, put in an urgent question, the effects will be the same. Even if there is no water, even if we order the Honorable Minister to deliver a ministerial statement, it won't be today. It can only be next week. So just put in an urgent question, then the Honorable Minister will be able to address it. But Honorable Minister, you have taken note, I'm sure. Please engage the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa to see how you can navigate this situation.
With your indulgence.
The Honorable Minister wants to say something.
Madam Speaker, we are very much aware of what's happening in Kitwe. We have taken immediate measures. First and foremost, we are applying lime and other chemicals to ensure that we treat that water. WAMA and ZEMA are on site right now. With your indulgence, Madam Speaker, I can come back to the House tomorrow to give a comprehensive statement. But just to assure the people of the Copper Belt that government is fully aware of the situation, government is very concerned. The water utilities in that area are already on site. The people of that area must be assured. Unfortunately, yes, we are taking out several other measures. One of them is to ensure that the mining company responsible for this pollution obviously is punished, and that it takes some of that liability. So we will come to the House, Madam Speaker, tomorrow to give a comprehensive statement. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Then in that case, we allow the Honorable Minister to come back tomorrow with a comprehensive statement. Then the Honorable members who want to ask questions can reserve those questions for after the ministerial statement is delivered. we have to make progress because we are constrained in terms of time. There is something that needs to be done quickly within a specified time. So I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Education to present a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank you most sincerely for allowing me to present a ministerial statement on the implementation of the transformative 2023 education curriculum and other related issues. This curriculum represents a significant step toward achieving Vision 2030 and building a prosperous middle-income Zambia by equipping our learners with 21st century competences essential for national development. Madam Speaker, allow me to state from the outset that the progressive 2023 Zambia education curriculum has been successfully developed through a consultative process and is being implemented in a phased, structured, and methodical manner. The curriculum framework, after an elaborate and consultative process, was designed, validated by stakeholders, and approved by Cabinet for implementation. So far, 30,000 copies have been printed and distributed to schools. In addition, the syllabi have been developed, piloted in 30 districts, consolidated, validated, and approved. The syllabi and teaching modules have since been deployed online for use by teachers, while the printing is ongoing. Furthermore, more than 86,000 teachers designated to teach early childhood education level 1, grade 1, and Form 1 in 2025 have been adequately oriented to ensure effective delivery. Madam Speaker, I am therefore of the considered view that unlike in 2014, when the 2013 curriculum was implemented without adequate preparation, the country is now ready to implement the 2023 Zambia education curriculum. The implementation of the 2023 Zambia education curriculum marks a transformative step toward aligning the education system with the national development goals and global best practices. Education remains a top priority for the government, as emphasized in the 8th National Development Plan and Vision 2030, which envisions Zambia as a prosperous middle-income country. In his inaugural address to Parliament on 10th September 2021, the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, underscored the urgent need to reform the education system to meet international standards. Madam Speaker, in response to the President's directive, the Ministry of Education engaged all stakeholders to develop the 2023 Zambia education curriculum. These stakeholders included educators, teacher unions, academia, lawmakers, civic and traditional leaders, civil society organizations, and faith-based organizations, as well as witnesses who submitted recommendations to your Committee on Education, Science and Technology. Further, a significant number of members of Parliament attended a validation meeting organized by the Ministry of Education at Government Complex. I am therefore confident that the 2023 Zambia education curriculum reflects the views of a broad spectrum of Zambians and is well crafted to support Zambia's development agenda as well as the broader aspirations of Africa and the world. Madam Speaker, the transition from grade 7 to grade 8, which is Form 1 now, follows structured placement criteria. There has been no automatic progression since 2022. Learners who do not meet the performance standards will repeat grade 7, while those who qualify will proceed to Form 1. Madam Speaker, provincial education officers have been guided to prioritize boarding and day secondary schools for Form 1 placements. In cases where the learners who pass the grade 7 examination cannot be accommodated in existing schools, the POs have been instructed to identify basic schools suitable for upgrading to offer education from Form 1 to Form 4. This initiative aims to ensure equitable distribution of resources and increase secondary school availability across districts. The selection of schools is based on factors such as adequate infrastructure, feeder population, proximity to existing secondary schools, capacity for expansion, availability of qualified learners, that is minimum of 15 learners, and the availability of specialized teachers. The ministry is ensuring that the needs of newly upgraded schools inform upcoming teacher recruitment, thereby ensuring they receive the necessary teaching staff to support the new curriculum. Madam Speaker, a case from Nakonde district in Muchinga province demonstrates the ministry's experience in managing education transition. 10 out of the 20 schools previously offering grade 8 and 9 have been selected to offer Form 1, while the remaining schools will serve as feeder schools to fully established secondary schools in the district. The selection of schools to offer Form 1 has been carefully considered to ensure accessibility and efficiency in the education system. For instance, Ulongo Basic School will not be upgraded to offer Form 1 because it is located less than 2 kilometers from Musasengoma Secondary School, which already provides Form 1 education. This short distance allows learners from Ulongo to attain Musasengoma without difficulty. Similarly, Kantongo Basic School has not been selected for an upgrade as it is only 7 kilometers from Whitevika Secondary School, which offers Form 1. Given this reasonable proximity, learners from Kantongo can easily access secondary education at Whitevika. Likewise, Ilindela Basic School has not been upgraded as it is within a walkable distance of 5 kilometers from Nakonde Secondary School, a newly constructed secondary school with adequate facilities to accommodate learners. However, special consideration has been given to schools where the distance to the nearest secondary institution exceeds a reasonable walking distance. For instance, Katukauchu Basic School has been identified as an upgrade secondary status because it is 19 kilometers away from the nearest secondary school and faces environmental challenges. The area between Dingindi and Katauchu experiences severe flooding during the rain season, making it unsafe for learners to commute. Upgrading Katakauchu to a secondary school will ensure that students in this area have uninterrupted access to education despite seasonal challenges. Madam Speaker, the government is currently constructing 45 weekly boarding facilities across the country to support learners who cannot access nearby secondary schools. Vulnerable learners will receive CDF bursaries, recognizing the importance of these boarding facilities. Additionally, these facilities will operate as full-fledged boarding secondary schools, ensuring learners are protected from social vices such as teenage pregnancies and drug abuse. Madam Speaker, to ensure the successful implementation of our education agenda, the Ministry has outlined key strategic actions, particularly in infrastructure development. We have completed 82 secondary schools and are actively working to finalize 220 stalled projects. Of the 115 secondary schools that had stalled, 69 are now practically complete and in use, leaving a balance of 46 schools scheduled for completion by December 2025. Additionally, the Ministry is constructing 120 new secondary schools across the country. These initiatives underscore the government's unwavering commitment to expanding access to quality education, recognizing it is the greatest equalizer in driving national development. As part of this commitment, the Ministry of Education is spearheading construction of 169 early childhood education hub centers across the breadth of this country. Of these, 56 are funded by the government of the Republic of Zambia, 3 by the European Union, and 110 under the Zambia Enhancing Early Learning Project. Further, in our concerted efforts to reach the most underserved and disadvantaged communities, the Ministry is constructing 145 satellite centers this year. These centers are designed to expand learning opportunities in remote areas and ensure equitable access to education. Among them, 35 are funded by the European Union, while 110 fall under zero. Madam Speaker, these infrastructure developments are a clear reflection of the government's steadfast dedication to strengthening the education sector. By making strategic investments in educational infrastructure, we are not only enhancing access, but also laying a firm foundation for a more inclusive and equitable education system, one that ensures no child is left behind. Madam Speaker, education remains the foundation of our nation's progress, and the government is steadfast in its commitment to strengthening education infrastructure and ensuring quality learning for all. The 2023 to 2025 budget allocations for the Ministry of Education reflect this dedication, with a strategic focus on early childhood education and secondary infrastructure. Madam Speaker, funding for early childhood education infrastructure has seen a steadfast increase, rising from 155 million kwacha in 2023 to 190 million kwacha in 2024, and further to 230 million kwacha in 2025, a 50% increase from 2023 to 2024, followed by a 23% growth in 2025. These investments underscore the government's resolve to provide a strong education foundation for young learners. Madam Speaker, similarly, secondary education has received the largest funding share to meet the growing demand for learning facilities. The allocation, which stood at 1,120 million kwacha in 2023, saw a slight reduction to 1,005 million kwacha in 2024, before rebounding significantly to 1,870 million kwacha in 2025, making an impressive 78% increase. This funding is critical in accommodating rising student enrollment and improving education quality nationwide. Madam Speaker, to support the implementation of the 2023 curriculum, the government has significantly increased the budgetary allocation from 5,600,000 Zambian kwacha in 2022, 2023, and 2024 to 105,600,000 kwacha in 2025. This substantial increase underscores the government's commitment to strengthening the education sector and ensuring successful rollout of the new curriculum. Madam Speaker, while 2024 experienced a temporary dip in funding, the overall trend reflects a renewed commitment to expanding education opportunities. The government's focus on ECE and secondary education aligns with our long-term vision of strengthening the education sector, ensuring accessibility and improving learning conditions for all. These budgetary allocations represent a transformative strategy that will drive sustainable growth and national development. Madam Speaker, these budgetary allocations represent a transformative strategy that will drive sustainable growth and national development. Let us work together to uphold this vision and ensure that every Zambian child receives the quality education they deserve. I'm still going on. So, despite these efforts, Madam Speaker, financial resource mobilization is being strengthened through collaboration with the Ministry of Finance and National Planning to secure increased funding and enhance partnerships with cooperating partners to support curriculum implementation. A robust monitoring and evaluation framework is in place for the continuous assessment of infrastructure, staffing, and technical teaching materials, as well as ongoing evaluation of school placement strategies to address emerging challenges in real time. Madam Speaker, the Ministry has been and will continue to recruit teachers with a focus on specialized subjects, particularly in rural areas where the need is greatest. The government remains committed to hiring teachers in specialized fields while also strengthening in-service teacher training to enhance the quality of education. Further, the ministry is committed to motivating teachers in rural areas by providing priority allowances such as hardship allowances to ensure retention and productivity. Madam Speaker, the government is fulfilling its responsibility, and the community must also play its part in ensuring that children attend school, whether through encouragement or enforcement, kapush, as stated by Honorable Miyutu yesterday. Madam Speaker, the Education Act of 2011 emphasizes the government's commitment to compulsory education, ensuring that every child of school-going age is enrolled and attends school. It outlines the legal consequences for individuals who fail to enroll a child, prevent school attendance, and lawfully withdraw a learner or obstruct officials enforcing education policies. Offenders may face a fine of up to 100,000 penalty units, imprisonment of up to 1 year, or both. The government urges parents, guardians, and the community to uphold their responsibility in ensuring access to education, reinforcing that it is both a right and a duty. Authorities remain dedicated to enforcing these provisions to protect the future of children and national development. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I wish to reiterate that the 2023 Zambia Education Curriculum is a vision and strategic document designed to create a globally competitive workforce. Its successful implementation requires substantial investment from both the government and development partners. Through strategic planning, infrastructure development, human resource allocation, financial mobilization, and continuous evaluation, Zambia is poised to build a robust and internationally competitive education system. The ministry urges all stakeholders, including teachers, parents, community leaders, and honorable members of parliament, to support these initiatives as we build a stronger, more inclusive education system for our nation. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Education. I see none, so we go to the next. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm so happy that the Minister has brought a statement to clarify on this burning issue. In his statement, he said he has now given them time to assess schools that are supposed to be taken into secondary schools and those that cannot qualify. My question, Madam Speaker, is what happens right now? Because where I'm coming from, about 6 schools have adjusted following what was written to them. Are they going to go back to the normal situations, or the statement stands as it were? I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I may not have gotten you properly. What I have said today is what happens. Mind you, we gave a period of 14 days, so they can still adjust within that. But if they are comfortable to be where they are, with long distances, it is not up to us. As we have given them what to do, and the distances, for example, I was talking about 17 kilometers. Strictly speaking, that is too much. I know I walked 15 kilometers myself. But in our modern times, that is too much. So they can still adjust, because the period where they should report is 14 days. And that is only elapsing, I think, on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Luvanseshi.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the good opportunity given to the people of Luvanseshi to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Education. Honorable Minister, the new curriculum that you have introduced, it has come with some challenges, especially in our rural areas like Luvanseshi constituency, Mpika, Lumfunsa, and other constituencies. Looking at the capacity of these teachers to start teaching our children, they need to be trained. And in addition to that, there are issues to do with the internet. If you may be aware that, Honorable Ministers, one of the issues that is affecting our people is the issue of internet, because where this BOMA or CBID are and where the certain schools are, there are a lot of gaps in terms of distances. And apparently, your ministry is giving out soft copies that you are sending to these teachers, and at the end of the day, they have to print, which is a cost to them, looking at the distances and other issues like internet. My question to you, have you taken into consideration and come up with practical solutions to address issue of teachers' capacity in terms of training, issues to do with internet, because they're getting soft copies, and even costs that are associated to this program or syllabus? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, these are already trained teachers. If you tell me to say that I should train everybody, where am I going to train everyone, 120,000 teachers? That's why we are saying this is a phased approach. So these grades which are affected are the ones that we trained, all right? And then there will be trainers of trainers. So let me just array this. We are not throwing away the old textbooks. They still have content which is accepted. So we are just adding, for example, if you talk about the values, they are added there. Let me just invite my colleagues. Colleagues, read this. It will explain to you. It's only that here is 20 or 30 minutes which I was given. But this is about 51 pages. So if we can go and just check this, you realize to say that this is a robust curriculum. So I invite all of us, please, to read through this. And I'm glad that some of the MPs did really attend even the validation and participated in this curriculum framework. So let's just check in it. Let's just read fully. You understand, and the language is very simple. But in terms of internet, my colleague here is actually rolling out. Sooner than later, I think we'll reach out everywhere, even the remotest area. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Just maybe on behalf of the honorable members, I don't know if that copy can be laid on the table so that we can have copies for the honorable members. Thank you very much. The honorable member for Nakonde.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Madam Speaker, government scrapped off 200 kwacha, which today they are calling a free education, because teachers, parents used to pay 200 kwacha per year for a child to go to school. Now, when you look at the distances, Madam Speaker, for instance in Akonde, one pupil has to move to travel about 16 kilometers going to attend this Form 1. And we had the 20 basic schools that was providing grade 8 and 9, out of which they've just selected 10 schools, which means
the other 10, they won't be providing these Form 1. The question to the Minister, are you willing also to upgrade the remaining 10 so that we reduce the distances? Because if you cannot upgrade this, it means parents, children will be now forced to be doing weekly boarding, which is very expensive now because of the economic challenge that you have put us in. Madam Speaker, I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
First of all, Madam Speaker, let me decreate the impression he's creating. They were not paying 200 kwacha.
200.
No, it's not true. Go and check your records. I know that.
200 per term.
Yes. It was a lot of money. Why weren't the kids, first of all, why weren't they going to school if it was only 200 kwacha? Why all of a sudden, where are the 2 million come from? It's because of free education. Huh? And my dear brother, please, I know where you come from. Huh? I come from there also. So I know even the distances that we are talking about. This is why, if you are listening attentively here, I said there is mapping. That school, which is 17 kilometers, we have given it. The proximity of 5 kilometers, children can afford to move. Even here in Lusaka, and we were trying to work out, I was telling my technocrats, here in Lusaka, some kids move even 10 kilometers in town. So, your heart must be rested. And I invite you, because I know where we come from. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. There are so many members that have indicated there's a lot of interest in this subject, and unfortunately I will not be able to extend the time because of other constraints. So if we can be brief to the point as we ask questions so that we can have as many members as possible to ask. The honorable member for Shuangando.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this matter has posed a lot of challenges. And as you know, education sector is a very important sector in national building. Honorable Minister, apart from the infrastructure challenges that you have alluded to, which you are saying you are going to address, you have also acknowledged the fact that you are only having the materials being printed now, and that some of the materials you are basically sending online. You know the challenges of our rural connectivity. There are teachers who are not even online as we speak in most of the schools. The ideal situation should have been for you to pilot this project before you implemented it in full. My question to you, Honorable Minister, isn't it possible that you can review now, you can get people to evaluate and get the feedback from the implementers, who are in this case the teachers, who are only having 3 days of orientation in some cases without the materials? Wouldn't it be ideal, Honorable Minister, to do an evaluation and probably pause the project, the implementation program, and make sure that you prepare adequately? Because now we are working like in reverse. What we should have done in the first place is what we are doing while the program is being implemented. Isn't it ideal for you to first of all get the feedback and review the implementation process? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister of Education.
You keep on talking about pilot. We piloted. I was reading here, I said, 30 districts were piloted. You don't pilot the whole country. Pilot is piloting. So we piloted, all right? And many stakeholders actually agreed with us. The 13 curriculum review that you did as PF, you only implemented it in 1940, whatever. No, for whatever, just 1 year. And you never did any piloting, you never did anything. This is why you are in this education crisis. So you must appreciate what is being done today. All right? For more than 10 years, you could not even evaluate anything. This curriculum, this is why saying that evaluation and monitoring will continue. Sometimes you even do it after 5 years. You never did that. You took 10 years up until we came in ourselves. And as it has taken us from 2022, from 2021, and this is 2023. It is called the 2023 Zambia Education Curriculum Framework, 2023. And we are implementing in 2025. So this is why I'm saying, I'll lay this on the table, Madam Speaker, so that people understand. And I'm saying that we are not cancelling everything. All right? For example, if I am introducing, let me just open the page, because if I wanted, I could have read this. It was going to take me a lot of time. For example, this was not in the curriculum: inclusive equity, accountability, transparency, partnership, social justice, integrity. It was not there. So just including a small part. Geometry is geometry. You can't change geometry, but it's an applied one. This is a competence-based curriculum, competence, so that when your children come out of school, they are competent enough to do certain things, rather than rote memorization. Anybody can memorize. Madam Speaker, in Sub-Sahara, as we talk today, 300 million children who are 10 years cannot comprehend anything that they read. They will read, they cannot comprehend. They will do numerous, they can't comprehend. At 10 years, and this is what we are trying to run away from, so that we don't tell them, name parts of a grasshopper. Where do you take a grasshopper if you not be an entomologist? This is the departure from what used to happen a long time ago. This is competence-based curriculum, competence, so that children get out of school with skills. That's the only thing. That's the only difference, if you like. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
No, the honorable members, let's proceed. The honorable member for Kabwata, please be precise to the point.
I'm grateful, Madam. I'm grateful, Madam Speaker.
The honorable member for Shwangandu, please just bear with me. I have constraints in terms of time. So I'll make a comment at the end when we are finished. Okay, so honorable member for Kabwata, proceed.
I'm grateful, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Minister, this is a very good curriculum. And I hope your ministry and the Minister of Communications under Honorable Felix Mutat will be able to work so that we work on the issue of rolling out towers in all the districts. But my question is, I wanted to find out whether you have set a time frame of reviewing the effectiveness of this curriculum. Is there a time frame that you have set up?
Sorry, the Honorable Minister of Education, I was just looking at the people who were making noise. The honorable members who were chatting, so please let's pay attention to the questions and answers. Please, please. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In terms of curriculum, you have to not set a time to say we shall evaluate it. But what is written is that in between, even after 1 year, you can evaluate because you are doing that evaluation and monitoring. So there is no specific time that you can evaluate, but it is desirable anywhere, even in mid-5 years, you do that. After 10 years, you change your curriculum.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Muchinga.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. The people of Muchinga would first like to accept that the change of curriculum is a good move and that every good thing comes with its own challenges, good or bad. Madam Speaker, I took a few days to pass through all the 4-day schools in my constituency during the recess, and challenges that came out prominent, Madam Speaker, are issues of classroom spaces and accommodation for our pupils who travel long distances. My question to the Honorable Minister is, in light of these challenges, are there any plans that your ministry has to supplement what we are already doing with CDF in terms of providing more accommodation spaces for our day scholars who will be coming from long distances or far areas, and also provide for more classroom spaces, as these schools have now over-enrolled. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yes, thank you, Honorable MP for Muchinga. Like I read here, I said, we have said all those distances, those which were doing basic and then in those secondary schools, they must remain there. And then we have designated those as secondary schools which will run from Form 1 up to Form 4. So distance now has been cut. Yeah, I think your POs have already grasped this, so they will do that. But as I was reading here, I was talking about how much we are putting to do infrastructure rather than depending on yourselves. We are already so many structures that we are completing now. Mind you, we will not be going to have this burden if this infrastructure were complete, because they stored for 10 years. So we had now to deal with this rather than us putting greenfield structures. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Madam Speaker, how I wish we had more time, because this is a serious issue. Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency with 4 secondary schools and 63 primary schools. 63. Now, Honorable Minister, I want to place it on record that I support the thinking that guides this new curriculum. And I'm actually a champion of quality education. And I participated in the validation meeting. But the problem is, Madam Speaker, the problem that's in Nalolo reflects the problem in Western Province. And let me just be brief. Before this new curriculum, the secondary schools were already a few. We were already struggling with grade 8, which is now Form 1. Now that there is an additional reduction, like in my case, from 25 primary schools to now 4 to offer this Form 1. Now, I have heard what the minister said, that additional guidance has been given for further identification of secondary schools. But what I have an issue with is that this should have preceded the implementation of the new curriculum. Right now, Madam Speaker, I can confirm with facts that I have over 200 people dropping out of school in Nalolo Parliamentary constituency. Now, my clarification to the Honorable Minister is that you have seen that Western Province for 3 years is the last, number 10 in grade 12, which used to be number 1. The secondary schools, Madam Speaker, in Western Province were last built before independence. Holy Cross, St. John's, Kambule, Kalabo Secondary. We've not had new secondary schools post-independence. So this is the problem we're facing, Honorable Minister. How are we going to salvage these dropouts who existed even before this new curriculum? We support it, we know it's competence-based, but our people are dropping out of school. How do we salvage these when the secondary schools are already a few? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
I'm not quite sure whether maybe because I was not there. So they never built any secondary schools. For 10 years, there was no secondary school was built. Zero. Yeah, this is why I've indicated here, let those, the basic schools will be upgraded into secondary, besides us building new schools. You know that I'm building one big secondary school and it will finish. Okay, I've already put money in there, so you can see that we are trying to be fast forward ourselves. So if those, I'm yet to ask my technocrats, if there are children who have dropped under 200, we shall verify that. We need to bring them back to school. And this is why I'm saying that this distance we're trying to cut. If you are saying that we had so many secondary schools and now they are only what? No. We'll upgrade some of those basic schools, and the children, if there are any, we'll have to verify. So please don't worry. You should have also said that I'm happy that we are building a secondary school. Okay? Sometimes it's good to pat somebody by the back, all right, so that the country hears. Yeah. Because now it's like alarming. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given. Honorable Minister, just like some of my colleagues have indicated, this curriculum issue has generated a lot of debate. And I give you credit, Honorable Minister, for coming through to the House to issue a ministerial statement to clarify some of the misconceptions that are held by our people out there. Now, I wanted you, Honorable Minister, probably to single out one biggest benefit, or maybe two, that outweighs the old system. Meaning, place, what could be the biggest benefits that, as the government, we are able to generate from the new system as opposed to the old system? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Education.
I said, since it is just single, isn't it? Competence-based. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Mpika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, let me begin by commending our hard-working teachers in Mpika district who have been enduring overcrowded classes following the introduction of the free education policy. Madam Speaker, the new curriculum is something that we will support. However, Madam Speaker, it is marred by a lot of challenges in etiquette teaching materials, in etiquette infrastructure, and in our case as in Mpika, the biggest problem we have right now, which is even going to defeat the free education policy, is the moving of children covering long distances to go and camp at a particular school. For instance, children from Kasenga now are moving 28 kilometers to go and camp at Chilonga Secondary School, and those in Mwamfusha are moving 30 kilometers to go and camp at Chiwansa Secondary School. They are doing a weekly boarding. They have to rent, Madam Speaker, boarding facilities at those schools. Honorable Minister, what measures have you put in place to ensure that this policy in rural areas, we have facilities for weekly boarders? And also, Madam Speaker, our children will fall prey to these excited young men and others who will now be impregnating them at their weekly boarding facilities. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Education.
Honorable Member for Mpika, I think you got me right when I said we are cutting distance. The acceptable distance is not more than 7 kilometers. Now, I do understand and know, and you, my colleagues who come from my area, well, no one can tell me that. I know every part of Mchinga, okay, every part of Mchinga. So I'm competent enough to argue with you. Even in the language itself, so, but what I said, if you heard me, I said concurrently. And it's actually me who was telling Honorable Kamchongo one time when I visited his constituency. I said to him, this secondary school has stored, and these kids are in the compound. It is unacceptable. We must finish this boarding school. I think you still remember Honorable Kamchongo. Okay? That school which is stored under your eye. So, I said concurrently, the World Bank is helping us also in order for those weekly boardings where they come and then they go. Sometimes just makeshift. I know what was obtaining. So even that time, and this is why I was saying that we shall do this to avoid early pregnancies. So that 30 kilometers, I don't think that it is true that they walk, but they walk to go and do what? So we have cut that distance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Mwense.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. It's very hard to ask a question when you served in the minister, but number one, I want to encourage you to continue providing leadership around human capital, the teachers, infrastructure construction, curriculum development, and take into account all these challenges that are coming from your colleagues here. They are very genuine. But Minister, in your statement, I didn't hear you much talk about A-levels. Because in the statement you said we want to reform the curriculum so that we also become a global competitive education system. Would you just maybe in simple language explain to our people, especially we MPs who are coming from the rural areas, what this A-level entails as part of your curriculum reform going forward? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you very much. My colleague, this is why I said I'll lay this, because everything is in here about A-levels. You still recall that our students from the University of Zambia, just generally here, they go to England, they are told this is an advanced diploma. So do something, a bridging, what? And this is what we're trying to avoid. So within a secondary school, we have A-levels, Form 5 and Form 6, so that when they go to university, they would have done A-levels. But if you check when they go to university, the first year, we call it A-levels. They don't accept it that side. So we are trying to change for the benefit of our country, so that when they go to England or wherever, they are not told, repeat, because this is just an advanced diploma. So that is what we are trying to run away. But everything is here. And Madam, at some point or now, since they have exhausted their question, I can lay this on the table.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bwacha.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and the greetings from the Foreign Service. Minister, on the orientation of teachers. Pardon?
Oh, the Honorable Members, if somebody wants to raise a point of order.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Minister, on the orientation of teachers, in some cases, at the time of the orientations, materials for the new curriculum were not yet ready or not in place. Through you, Madam Speaker, Minister, how were the orientations conducted in the absence of hands-on materials for the new curriculum to the teachers? Up to now, Madam Speaker, in some schools, the materials are not yet in those schools. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Like I said, Madam Speaker, it is not about overhaul that you want like new materials and it is. It is just something that you add. All right? The textbooks that are already there are useful. Extract something which we are trying to add. So I don't think that you will see so that this is truly new material. No. Curriculum, this is why we call it, you review. You are not overhauling because you cannot. I cannot start overhauling something to start now writing on your own. The only thing that probably we have removed is a grasshopper. The rest remain. Thank you.
Honorable members, I think the subject is of utmost importance, as you have already realized. Some honorable members have already stated. And if there is anybody who is going to sensitize the people in the communities, the honorable members from this House. Now, looking at the time that we have spent on this issue, I think honorable members are not yet clear on the expectation and even how to go and explain to the members of the public. So maybe the Honorable Minister, I would request you with your technocrats to have a session with the honorable members. I know some honorable members did participate, but most of the honorable members have been left behind. So with the assistance of the clerk, because I know voluntary basis sometimes doesn't yield results, so the clerk, please, if you can also liaise and see how best we can ensure that honorable members have an interaction with the honorable minister in the amphitheater to see how we can, so that they can understand this. Because every new thing has got challenges, so that is where we'll end, because I can ask honorable members to ask questions. We'll just be going in cycles. I don't know if that is okay, honorable minister. Okay. So with that, then we make progress. You have ample time, and the clerk will make an arrangement for some little grapes. Well, the result is the same. They are both fruits, aren't they? So we go to the next. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Health to present a ministerial statement. Honorable members, before I call on the Honorable Minister of Health, let me make this statement. Honorable members, the Minister of Health is about to render a brief statement on the health status of the 60th Republican President and the leader of the Forum for Democracy and Development. Bearing in mind that health matters are private and should be treated as such, there will be no points of clarification after the statement is rendered. The statement is just for information of the House, following the point of order raised by the Honorable Member of Chasefo. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You requested government to render a ministerial statement to this August House on the health status of the 6th Republican President of Zambia, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and Ms. Edith Zewalani Nawakwi, President of the Forum for Democracy and Development. Government cannot divulge or discuss the health status of any citizen because every Zambian citizen is entitled to privacy. Further, such a discussion would be against the medical practitioner's ethics, as it borders on betraying the doctor-patient relationship, which is sacrosanct. Good. Madam Speaker, sacrosanct. Madam Speaker,
all the honorable members, let's listen.
Allow me, however,
quietly
to state that every Zambian is entitled to access to quality medical services as enshrined in the Zambian Constitution. I want to emphasize that matters to do with the health status of an individual are personal and confidential in nature within the laws governing medical practice. As such, this statement will not delve into personal information concerning the 6th President and the President of the Forum for Democracy and Development. Madam Speaker, I wish to state that the government of the Republic of Zambia has been looking after the former President, Mr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu. Whenever he has requested for medical intervention, both locally and abroad. The last appointment government made for the former president was for him to travel to Pretoria, South Africa on medical grounds in September 2023. He was, however, unable to travel due to personal commitments. As government, we are committed to providing medical support to every Zambian, including all our former leaders regardless of their political affiliation. Madam Speaker, the House may wish to note that on 10th January 2025, Cabinet Office was informed that the former President will be traveling to the Republic of South Africa for medical attention. Upon receipt of this notification, and as per established practice and procedure, government immediately initiated the process of having the sixth president evaluated at the Mainasoko Medical Center for possible evacuation to the Republic of South Africa. However, on the 17th January 2025, another correspondence was received by Cabinet Office from the sixth Republican President, indicating that the former President would meet all costs related to his travel and medical attention. The correspondence further emphasized that the earlier communication had been mere information to the government of the Republic of Zambia. Madam Speaker, government has also come to learn that our mother, Ms. Edith Zelawani Nawakwi, President of the Forum of the Republic of Development Party, has not been well lately. In the same vein, government is committed to doing everything possible to assisting the former minister. Government is in constant contact with both the former minister and their relatives to appreciate and understand what needs to be done in order to remediate the situation. We will keep the nation informed about any development. Madam Speaker, we ask that every Zambian wishes the sixth Republican President and Madam Nawakwi and all Zambians good health. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. So that ends there. I have also permitted the Honorable Minister of Health to present another ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Health.
My speech.
The Honorable Minister has already taken the stand. Your point of order, you can keep it, you can raise it after.
Madam Speaker, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for the opportunity given to me to update the members of the House on the matter of national importance and threatening the public health security of our people and our country as a whole. The mpox situation in the country. Disease outbreaks of pandemic and epidemic nature do not only cause widespread morbidity and mortality, but are disruptive to the social, political, and economic lives of citizens. As such, government, through the excellent leadership of our Republican President, His Excellency Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, attaches great importance to securing the health of our people and the nation at large. Madam Speaker, the index case of mpox was first detected on the 8th October 2024 in Chitambo, Central Province, marking the beginning of outbreak in the country. Following the initial case, the outbreak spread to the Copperbelt Province, where an index case was confirmed on December 26, 2024. Lusaka Province reported its first case on January 13, 2025. This August House may wish to note that since the recording of index cases in the mentioned areas, additional cases have been reported in both Lusaka and Copperbelt between these dates, indicating ongoing transmission of the virus among population. Madam Speaker, as of 19th February 2025, a total number of 20 cases have been reported across the affected provinces, with 14 cases in Lusaka, 05 cases in the Copperbelt, and 1 case in the Central Province. Out of the reported cases on the Copperbelt, 3 confirmed cases were recorded in Kitwe, while Mufrila recorded 2 confirmed cases. Madam Speaker, allow me to deliberately speak to specific geographical locations where we have recorded confirmed cases in Lusaka as a city, recording highest number so far. Bowden Compound has recorded 7 cases. Wakanyama has 3 cases. Garden Compound 1, Karingaringa 1, Chawama 1, and 1 from Mwembeshi in Chilanga district, bringing a total number of recorded cases to 14 so far. Madam Speaker, in response to the Mpox outbreak, government has implemented the following measures. Contacts for all the confirmed cases have been enlisted and are currently being monitored for 21 days by the Rapid Response Team. 2. All response structures have been activated to respond to the Mpox outbreak, and there has been heightened index of suspicion in the province. 3. Enhanced risk communication and community engagement, sensitization on Mpox, targeting the public masses. Madam Speaker, our surveillance and response teams across the country have on the high alert for any further cases of Mpox. I further would like to urge everyone to remain vigilant and take preventative measures to reduce the risk of transmission in these transmission. These include: 1. Avoid close contact. Stay away from individuals showing symptoms of Mpox, such as rash, sores. Avoid skin-to-skin contact, especially if you see unusual lesions. 2. Practice good hygiene. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth, with unwashable hands, especially after being in contact with high-risk individuals or items. 3. Use protection. If you are in a close contact with someone who may be infected, use personal protective equipment, such as masks and gloves. Consider using barrier methods during sexual activities to reduce the risk of transmission. 4. Be aware and seek medical attention promptly. Know the symptoms of Mpox, that is, which include fever, body aches, and rash, and monitor yourself for symptoms if you suspect you have been exposed. If you develop symptoms, seek medical advice promptly. 5. Stay informed and educate others. Stay tuned to credible information sources for update on the situation. Share this information with friends and family to help protect your community. Madam Speaker, I would like to urge the general public through this Honorable House to remain calm as government is taking all necessary measures to contain the spread of Mpox in the country. I would further like to call upon all citizens to adhere to preventive measures and report all suspected cases to the nearest health facility. Madam Speaker, together with vigilance, cooperation, and all measures we have outlined thereto, we can minimize the impact of Mpox and keep our communities safe. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the points of clarification, there was an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member Fonkana, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, my point of order is premised on Standing Order number 71, which requires that everything that we submit to this House is factual. I would like to seek your indulgence as to whether the statement made by the Minister suggesting that the state has been taking care of the health of the former president is actually factual. From where I stand, Madam Speaker, on a number of times the state have actually denied the former state from going to access medical services. Can we now go out with that statement knowing that the state have actually been taking care of the medical needs of the former president? Are they the ones paying for him? Are they the ones who are facilitated to the facility where he's gone?
Order,
I seek your indulgence.
I had indicated earlier on that we are not going to discuss or ask questions on the ministerial statement that was rendered. It was just a brief. If the honorable members has any issues with how the issue is being handled, I'm sure the honorable minister, the government can be approached. You can make representations. I'm sure the government has never ever denied any access to anybody for medicals. So if you have a challenge, approach them. You can talk to each other. That's why I always say, let's approach each other. Let's talk to each other. Let's see how we can solve problems than coming on the floor of the House to alarm the nation. It's not helping anyone. We should lead. We are the leaders. We should take responsibility. Where we do not agree, let's talk. Let's talk to each other. That's the only way to solve problems. So now the honorable members are free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement presented by the Honorable Minister of Health. The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, once again for allowing me to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Health. Now, Honorable Minister, how prepared is your ministry in terms of drugs, materials, infrastructure? We are looking at isolated wards, considering the fact that this is a very, very contagious disease. So how prepared is your ministry in terms of this mpox, which is highly contagious? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament for Kwacha. Madam Speaker, I said we are vigilant, and in most hospitals there is isolation space for these cases. Starting from Chitambo, all these cases we have heard even in Osaka, they found our health care facilities with such space for our patients. The only thing which we don't have is the vaccine. The vaccine, the whole continent of Africa is lacking. But when the cases become more, we ask Africa CDC to provide some vaccine. So far we are doing so well. Out of all these cases we have reported, we have got only 3 cases in admission. Otherwise, we have taken care of them through the vigilant attention from our medical personnel. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chimwemwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, some diseases we know that they undergo screening. My question is coming from our colleagues from the DRC. They are always coming to Zambia on a daily basis for their visa application at the UN embassy here. And they use Ndole Airport and Lusaka Airport, and they end up going to our hotels. However, I've not seen any screening taking place at either airport. So I'm wondering, how are we taking care of the people that are coming from Congo to ensure that they do not come with mpox? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, for mpox, I wouldn't say it has so escalated to the extent that we need to subject everyone to screening. And it's a virus that comes through the symptoms that you experience on your body. We don't want to go that procedure that subjects everyone to that. About 20 cases out of this population and trackers, we have already been seen where it is originating from. It's these borders, special trackers, not necessarily the airport. But if it becomes necessary, we shall screen. But it will be the same public who will be complaining that we are restricting you or we are troubling you on your travels. That can come if it has escalated. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to give people of Kanyama to ask a follow-up question. Madam Speaker, it really saddens me to hear that there are cases of mpox in Kanyama, when we're familiar with the cholera issues that we normally deal with. But it actually saddens me that we have got those cases. However, my question to the minister is, looking at the time when this mpox broke out, would you say we have managed to contain it, or numbers are just increasing from the time we had the first outbreak? I submit.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Let me thank the Member of Parliament for Kanyama and you, Madam Speaker. We have contained the situation because looking at what happened in Central Province, that case, mostly it's even travelers, the truckers, if you can trace them, they're coming from certain borders that I can't even say. And if we are not careful, it would have spread like wildfire. But when we look at the numbers and the numbers of what we have discharged from the hospitals, I think we have contained the situation. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Happy New Year, Madam Speaker. Welcome back. Madam Speaker, through you, I'd like to find out the measures that the Ministry of Health has taken in order to prevent this disease, like in areas like in the rural areas. What kind of information have they provided so that this disease cannot continue or should not be spread among the people in the rural areas like Chienga? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Welcome back also, Honorable Member for Chiengi. Haven't seen you for a while. It's my first day to see you today. Happy New Year. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think let me just read them again. I said, to reduce the risk of transmission, we need to have, 1, to avoid close contact. 2, practice good hygiene. 3, use protection. 4, be aware and seek medical attention promptly. Stay informed and educate others. Madam Speaker, through this Parliament and through ourselves, through our provincial medical personnel, we need actually to go to our community radio stations, and time and again I've been holding press briefing the nation, and that's the way we're asking our people to be vigilant about this mpox. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bwana Mkubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister of Health, for the answers you are providing. I'm not just sure which protection I heard you say about protection. Minister, I wanted to find out, you've highlighted a lot of measures, I think, to curb mpox. My question, Minister, is issues of sensitization to the Zambian people, especially where you've seen the detection of numbers. I think you've read the statistics. Is the Ministry of Health doing enough sensitization to the measures and how mpox can be contacted, as it were, so that our Zambian people can have early warning and they can understand how this mpox can be contracted? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Member of Parliament for Bwana Mkubwa. In fact, you talked about protection. Let me read it. If you are in close contact with someone who may be infected, use personal protective equipment such as masks and gloves. Consider using burial methods during sexual activity to reduce the risk of transmission. I'm sure that's what you wanted to hear. Now, sensitization. When we are talking about decentralization, my ministry has worked through local councils to promote public health. And through local authorities, We need to come up with programs, agendas to sensitize our local people. In addition, we are recruiting community public health workers. These infuse themselves into communities to help actually transmit the information. We need actually to be very, very active, proactive, all of us, because this thing can not only affect the poor, but even our relatives, even ourselves. We have to stand up and to stand up tall and meet the challenges that we are meeting in communities. Let's use local councils, let's use our community radios, and also our ministry is ready to work with you. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bahati.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for the responses. Minister, Mpox spreads from animals to people via scratches, bites, and through the consumption of game meat. And the information out there in the public is that it's through the consumption of monkey meat. Madam Speaker, there are people who eat monkeys. I'm sure even in here, people like Honorable Elvis in Kandu, they consume monkeys. So, Minister, are you sensitizing our people about the dangers of consuming contaminated game meat? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
I thought monkey meat is a delicacy just like rat meat. Or is it mice? The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Member of Parliament for Bahati. Mpox used to be called monkey pox. Monkey pox because it was transmitted from the monkeys. But this time now, it has changed its behavior. It is through also transmission, through the blood, and through contact. Of course, we should not ignore that aspect. We need to sensitize our people, especially those who enjoy the monkey meat. But most of these diseases you see are transmitted through animals. That's why even here at Parliament, we have got an association that looks at environment, animal and human being. We have been going around the whole country trying to sensitize people. The way we interact with animals, we have to be careful, because through these animals, we can contract some diseases, especially the wild animals, including your buffalo. They transmit diseases. I'm sure that's the way to go. We need to sensitize our people, especially those who like poaching. And in Northwestern, there is a tribe that likes poaching so much. I wouldn't go into details. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
I forgot to include hopani is also a delicacy. Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chipili.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, when you are responding to the question asked by Honorable Member of Kwacha about the availability of the drugs, you said we don't have, we depend on South Africa, you are treating this case by case. Now my question to you is, when are we expecting this medicine for this disease?
Oh, the Honorable Member from Pika. Is that the accepted manner of how you conduct yourself in the House? May the Honorable Member for Chipili continue.
So I was saying, when are we expecting this medicine, if you have procured? If not, why? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Madam Speaker, let me correct the impression. I said vaccine. Vaccine is for prevention. But the Mpox itself we are treating. It's a virus. I didn't say we don't have medicines. How have we been managing our patients? It has also got to do with the blood that we are doing, but we want to protect people from contracting Mpox. It's the vaccine which is not available. I said, if the cases become more prevalent, we can go through Africa CDC to get help so that the vaccine is procured for our people to protect them from mpox. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Mansa Central is the late indication.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Mine is a contribution to save monkeys. Though mpox was first discovered, or the monkeypox virus was first discovered in monkeys in 1958, it actually originated in rodents, rats, and you know they are found mostly in Eastern Province. And so African squirrels, African rodents are the common carriers of mpox virus. Leave the monkeys alone. And so we should not mislead by saying we should stop eating monkeys. If they are delicacies, let's continue eating them. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
I didn't know that we're now moving into the kitchen. So let's make progress. Questions for oral answer, understanding order 80. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The people of Isoka would like to ask question 211. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, Honorable Nakaponda asks the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, A, whether government has any plans to harvest water during the 2024-2025 rain season, and B, what other measures are being taken to ensure adequate supply of water in Soka District. Madam Speaker, in response to the question asked by Honorable Nakaponda, I wish to inform members of this august House that A, yes, government has plans to harvest water during the 2024-2025 rain season by utilizing the existing usable water harvesting infrastructure, rehabilitating and repairing unusable structures, and constructing new infrastructure before the onset of the rain season. Specifically, the Ministry is currently constructing 16 dams and repairing 6 dams to enhance national water security. Furthermore, the Ministry has planned to construct 20 dams and rehabilitate 14 dams just this year, 2025. All these measures are aimed at increasing the national water storage capacity for productive use, particularly in the agriculture, energy, fishing, and livestock sectors. B, to ensure adequate water supply in Soka District, government has implemented the following measures under the drought response plan. A, borehole drilling and installation. As you will recall, in August 2023, the ministry signed a contract with BWD Engineer Limited for the drilling and installation of 40 boreholes across Muchinga District, and Soka District was allocated 10. However, due to non-performance by the contractor, the contract was terminated and bonds have since been encashed. Only 3 boreholes were drilled but not equipped with hand pumps. The ministry will retender all the remaining works in the first quarter of 2025. 2, upgrading of boreholes to small piped water schemes. Another contract was signed in August 2023 with Atkinson Construction for the mechanization of 21 existing boreholes in Muchinga District, which included 5 in Isoka. Due to the contractor's failure to perform, again the contract was terminated and boards were encashed. These uncompleted works will also be retendered in the first quarter of 2025. 3, under the drought response plan, government will procure standby pumps for Chambeshi water utility in the Boma area to ensure water security. Another intervention in Soka District is the planned construction of 5 new piped water schemes in Kawenga Village, Chiwanda Section, B Village, Muzabwela Village, Luvemba Village, and Katangalika/Kalindo Village. 5. It must also be noted that in 2024, the Ministry with support from UNICEF successfully rehabilitated 4 boreholes and drilled 4 new boreholes in Soka district, all equipped with hand pumps. These boreholes have since been completed and handed over to the communities. Further, with support from World Vision, government is upgrading 19 existing boreholes in Soka district into small piped water schemes. 6, 7, and finally, government through the Ministry of Education and support from African Water Project has also rehabilitated and maintained boreholes in 9 schools in Soka district. Madam Speaker, all these interventions are meant to ensure that our good people with Soka receive quality water supply. However, more still needs to be done and more will be done. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have talked about contractors being terminated. You have terminated their contracts. What other specific plans and strategies does the government have in place for harvesting water during this rain season? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, yes, indeed, we have terminated these contracts for non-performance. But I think I have also outlined several other measures we put in place to ensure that our good people of Isoka still continue receiving water. I think I've outlined measures under the drought response plan. I've also outlined measures from our various partners who will fill this gap as we retender these works. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Chifu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, what are some of the water harvesting measures you are using in Isoka district?
The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
I think several, we are doing several things there. Obviously, one of them is what I've outlined already, getting water from the underground sources by borehole drilling. I think we are also trying to upgrade the boreholes to piped water schemes. What this means is that we are getting the boreholes with hand pumps to boreholes equipped with solar pumps and storage. This is not only for water for domestic supply, but we are trying to see if our good people of Isoka can also do minimum agriculture activities. Further, in Isoka, the ministry is currently undertaking, in Isoka district and other districts in that area, government is currently undertaking feasibility studies to see where we can also do dams. In areas where we have reliable rivers and reservoirs, we are looking at how we can do conveying of that water from those rivers and reservoirs to the fields, and as well as for domestic supply for our people. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Lundazi to make a follow-up question to the Minister. Honorable Minister, in your plans you have indicated that you would wish to construct 20 more dams. I bet these maybe to be distributed countrywide, or maybe they're just for one particular constituency. However, the question that I have is you have consecutively talked about termination and cashing of bonds. When you cash these bonds, you just get back the exact amount which you paid, which was given as an advance to the contractor. Now, the interest which I have and the question which I want you to clarify is, as time passes, you are not able to get the same quote for a particular borehole. In case you had quoted them for 45, the next time you get new quotations, they might even be up to 65. How are you covering up for this gap which is created by some of these contractors who seem not to be vetted? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think your substantive question is the gap which comes through. Madam Speaker, I think maybe we need to appreciate maybe one thing, that we have now, going forward, decided that all measures will be put in place for government not to lose any money at all. If you look at the past, there were a lot of contractors who were being paid monies and money was never recovered. Now we ensure that whenever we give a contractor a contract, the various securities, starting with the advance bond to the performance bond, are given. And should the contractor not perform, these are encashed. Obviously, as time goes, there will be price changes. The consequence of these price changes is that sometimes you gain, sometimes you lose. But the most important thing is to ensure that that which government contracted, the amounts and what was paid is recovered. To look at this issue comprehensively, Honorable Member for Lundazi, the biggest cure is to ensure that we get reliable, we get quality contractors so that they perform. We are seeing contractors getting more and more serious, by the way, because now we are invoking the various punitive measures we put in those contracts. So contractors are being punished for non-performance. So moving forward, we are seeing contractors being more and more serious, because some contractors who contracted in the recent past have performed very well. Further, contractors who do not perform will not be given any jobs at all. So that alone, we believe, will ensure that the contractors who get contracted give quality works. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Isoka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, has your ministry reserved or allocated any budget line to address the water supply challenges in Isoka district? And how will these funds be utilized? What is the estimated cost involved? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. That's 3 in 1. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for that very important question. And I say, as I said, the measures we've been put in place are interim measures. I've also said that we are carrying out a comprehensive study to see how we can adequately provide water to Isoka. So not until the study is complete, we will know the exact costings. And obviously then we will ensure that we make that adequate budgetary allocation to the project. So we'll move with you and we'll keep you updated as we resolve the water issues in Isoka. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Masaiti.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Minister. With the several water harvesting technologies that you've highlighted, the people of Nansala in our constituency who live near the Nansala waterfalls are asking, is your ministry providing any grants so that they can apply for them also to enhance food security at the household level by farming all year round using the water they would harvest? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, water infrastructure is very, very costly. Actually, on the other hand, we are trying to encourage private sector participation in this sector. We believe that when we give the right price and give conditions for export for these agricultural products which will be growing under irrigation, then farmers will be able to pay back. So looking at the people in that area, Honorable Member from Asaiti, and you and me have had such discussions before, you being former Minister of Agriculture, I believe we can come up with a scheme to help people obviously access the market, to help people see how they can work with the Minister of Agriculture to increase production, increase productivity, and to have a better access to the market. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Actually, my question has been answered. I wanted to find out whether it would be prudent for government to involve the private sector to start harvesting water. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Since the question has been answered, we move to the next Honorable Member for Pemba.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you have several times talked about recovering some monies from the contractors who failed. Now, my concern, Honorable Minister, is what could be the problem? Why is it that we have quite a number of our contractors failing to perform their duties when given the contract? Is it to do with the negotiated amount for the contract? Probably if you could shed light on that.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, that's a very loaded question. And I'll get liberty to share quickly my experience because I was once a small contractor. We want to encourage local contractors basically to be serious with work. When local contractors, some of whom are here, are given work, the first thing they do from the advance payment is to buy a car and do luxurious things. We shouldn't do that if we are going to grow this industry. Local contractors are given that advance payment to help them successfully execute the projects. This is what we are encouraging local contractors. And by the way, Madam Speaker, we have invited local contractors to our place, to our ministry, time and again, to run them through, to teach them how to do these works, so that we grow a cadre of local contractors which we can rely on. Again, I want to bemoan the lack of seriousness by these local contractors. Government has a lot of work which it wants to give local contractors, but they must be serious. The UPND's policy is to ensure that the local contractors are empowered. We want government money to remain with the Zambians, but we must be serious. So for me, this failure is mainly as a result of local contractors not being serious. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Next question, the Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 212.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kalabo, Honorable Miyutu, asks the Minister of Mines, A, what the country's annual copper production was as at December 2023. B, how many mines have been opened from January 2020 to December 2023. And C, what measures have been taken to increase copper production. In response, Madam Speaker, as of December 2023, the country's annual copper production stood at 698,566.08 tons. B, Madam Speaker, a total of 3 copper producing mines and the nickel mine were opened from January 2020 to December 2023. And these are, number 1, the Enterprise Nickel Mine, Kalumbila District, opened in 2022. Mimbula Resources Limited in Chingola 2022, and Kavula Mining Limited in Fuanyama District in 2023. C, Madam Speaker, the key measures government has been taking to increase copper production are as follows: strengthening regulatory and institutional frameworks. Number 2, maintaining a stable fiscal regime and creating an enabling policy environment. Formalization of the artisanal and small-scale mining subsector, expediting the resolution of mining-related disputes, monitoring of brownfields and greenfields projects, and exploiting mineralized tailings dams. Building capacity for research and development, and finally, undertaking a countrywide high-resolution area geophysical survey and mineral exploration. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, this question from me might have been overtaken by some event because, as you have heard, it is the 2023. So, for me, I have no supplementary question.
Thank you very much. So the question has been overtaken by events, but I see indications from the honorable members. The honorable member for Chifubu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the country has a target of to produce 3 million tons of copper. And currently, our country was hit by the drought, which has caused a deficit in the energy sector. What is your ministry doing in building the investor confidence towards the attainment of the 3 million copper production in terms of the improvement in the energy sector? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that very important question. Madam Speaker, I wish to use this opportunity also to assure the Honorable Member of Kalabo that actually, even though his question lapses, it still means something. We can inform the nation that from the 2023 figures, we are at now 821,000 metric tons of copper per year, meaning we are running towards the 3 million tons target. And as asked by the Honorable Member, in terms of what we are doing, in fact, Madam Speaker, I would like to thank all the mining companies and everybody that has been involved in mining, that even amidst the drought, because of the good policies of President Hakainde Hichilema and the New Dawn government, they were so resilient that instead of the figures going down, Madam Speaker, we experienced an upswing in copper productivity, unprecedented. In fact, Madam Speaker, if it weren't for the drought that resulted in the energy crisis, because our September, October, November were very bad in terms of energy, we could have easily hit 1 million tons. And therefore, Honorable Member, I want to differentiate whether it's Chifubu. Yes, Chifubu, not Lufubu, Chifubu. So, Honorable Member for Chifubu, while we are even showing a positive trajectory, it's because the policies that we have put in place are attracting investment. In the past 3 years, we have attracted investment in excess of $9 billion. And that kind of investment hasn't come as a promise. All the mining companies are putting in money as agreed. And we are following through all the investment agreements, all the implementation agreements, and we are also giving out licenses. And the other measure that we have put in place is that geophysical survey, as alluded to in the answers that I gave to the question. That is an important exercise That will help us attract more investment in the sector to help us rush towards the 3 million tons. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you. I'm grateful, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, we actually do appreciate a number of mines that have actually opened up around the country. But my question is, I wanted you to explain to a common man who would want to know the economical benefit to somebody who is living in Chawama, Jack Compound, or Kaputo on the Copper Belt. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member, for that very important question. So, the government of President Hakainde Hichilema, the UPND government, believes that when an economy grows, it has got its own positive consequences. And when you look at the economy of Zambia, Madam Speaker, the mining sector anchors the economy. And that is why when we were taking over, because the mining sector was depressed, the job creation or job unemployment levels were very high. And for us to have an impact on that people selling vitumbua or the one that is moving in Kapoto, we had to resuscitate the mining sector, starting with the brownfield mines. We had to look at all holistically in terms of which mines should give us what. So that's why you've seen even old mines that were closed 46 years ago, like Kalengwa mine, is back and it will be in production soon. What is the consequence of that? Then the immediate consequence is job creation for our people. Now, when our people begin to get employed, what that means is that they will be buying power in their hands. And the multiplier effect is that that person on the street that is selling vitumbua will sell more. The people that have shops will sell more. Those that are doing construction, because when people are buying power, they'll start building houses. So those bricklayers will start now having more jobs. So that is the consequence of resuscitating the backbone of our economy. And that is why when one is saying, why is it that there are no jobs? Mining is a long-term kind of activity. When you affect it in 1, 2, 3 years, you are closing down, the KCM is not working, Mopani is in court. What you are doing is you are depressing opportunities for our people, and there will be no jobs. So now that we have opened the mines, they will now begin to create jobs, both indirect and direct jobs. And that is why, as an administration, we are pushing for local content, because it will give us a threshold and create opportunities also for suppliers and contractors. Those also will be spending in the economy. They will employ more people. As they employ more people, it's a multiplier effect that we talk about. And that is why President HH says we have to grow the GDP of the economy. Because when there is more productivity, then Honorable Msokotwane gets more taxes. That's why he wants 3 million tons. In the 3 million tons, if he gets 16%, 3 million tons by the price of copper, you are talking about over $30 billion coming in the economy. And that gives you, taxes into the economy, and that creates jobs for our people. So basically, your question is very important. I can take the whole day just explaining the impact of the mining space. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Now it's just a general discussion on the mines. But anyway, we have time, so I'll allow more questions. The Honorable Member for Chimwemwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, out of that 650 or 850, we are more interested in Northwestern Province to see how much are they contributing. Do you have the figures or perhaps percentage roughly of what Northwestern Province contributed to whatever was you gave us on the floor? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Mines and Minerals Development.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. An honorable member, that is a very important question. I will not give you on the small scale side because then I need the figures, but Kansanshi, or let me just say FQM, meaning Kalumbila and Kansanshi, they did in excess of 420,000. As a matter of fact, Kansashi is the largest taxpayer now in terms of, the mining space. And they are creating more jobs. They are into expansion now. So we expect that even from them, we'll get more figures. But in terms of our artisanals and small-scale miners, I may not give the figures now, but we have a report. We did a press briefing. I think at an appropriate time, we'll come to the House, Madam Speaker, and give a comprehensive statement in terms of what the mining sector has contributed and where we are at. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chipiri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me take advantage of this question on the artisanal and small mining licenses. Honorable Minister, I want to find out from you where someone has applied a license, a cooperative, but that area has been given to somebody who has applied and he has not been given yet. For example, he applied in 2022. Up to now, he hasn't been given, but you have interest as a cooperative so that you can get a piece of land from there. What can you do?
Order, as the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
It's a very lovely afternoon to everyone still tuned into Parliament TV, the station that is dedicated to bringing Parliament closer to you. Business has been suspended for 20 minutes. We expect business to continue at 17 hours. So just a quick look at business that took place from the time business started at 14:30 hours. So there were 4 announcements that were made on the floor of the House, and just to mention that the first 3 announcements, Madam Speaker, did recognize pupils and teachers from 3 learning institutions, and these learning institutions include Kabwa Secondary School, Inspire Leadership School, and Grandma Nursery and Primary School. Thereafter, there was also another announcement, Pauline.
Yes, the Honourable Madam Speaker did inform the House that in accordance with provisions of Standing Order 176.3, she had made the following changes to the composition of the Standing Orders Committee, and these to replace members, or rather to make changes to the membership of the committees. So in the first one, she had moved Mr. Stephen Kampyongo MP to replace Mr. Remember Mutale on the Standing Orders Committee, and the second one, she had also replaced Mr. Davison Mungandu MP and takes the place of Mr. Emmanuel Mutale. So these are the changes that had been made on the Standing Orders Committee. We look at the other business that has been discussed on the floor of the House so far.
Okay, so after the announcements by Madam Speaker, there were some urgent matters without notice, and then thereafter 3 ministerial statements were delivered. House. 2 were delivered by the Minister of Health and 1 was delivered by the Minister of Education. So the one by the Minister of Education was on the new education curriculum. So when this statement was delivered, and thankfully when a statement is delivered on the floor of the House, members of Parliament are given an opportunity to pose questions on points of clarification to the Honourable Minister so that he can just clarify certain points over. And after that, Madam Speaker actually did note that this ministerial statement did raise a lot of interest, not only of course amongst the members of Parliament, but of course it's very important, and she did suggest to the Honourable Minister that maybe he could organize an engagement sensitization session so that more time is spent with the members of Parliament, who in turn, once they are very clear about that, they're going to spread this word to their constituents. And as we know, education is the equalizer, so we have to make sure that we do understand the issues that have to do with the new curriculum. So that was the first statement that was presented by the Minister of Education. 2 statements were presented by the Minister of Health, Pauline.
Yes, one of the statements was on the health status of Edgar Chagwalungu, former President of the Republic of Zambia, and Ms. Edith Zewelani Nawakwi, President of the Forum for Democracy and Development. So these ministerial statements did actually highlight the status, but also cautioned that
health actually was a very private matter, and therefore there was going to be no debate. And then on another the statement that was delivered by the Minister of Health was on the update given to Parliament on the mpox situation in the country, and details of this will be given to you at a later stage.
Okay, so then after the consideration of those three ministerial statements, the House then moved on to consider two questions for oral answer. The first one was posed by Nakonde, I beg your pardon, Isoka Member of Parliament, Ms. Marjorie Nakaponda, and this question was directed to Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. She basically wanted to find out whether the government had any plans to harvest water during the 2024-2025 rainy season, and what other measures are being taken to ensure that adequate supply of water in Isoka district. And at the time business was being suspended, the House was still considering the second question that has been posed by Kalabo Central Member of Parliament. Maybe Pauline, you could just remind our viewers what this question was about.
The question that was under consideration when the House was about to go on break was question posed by Kalabo Central Member of Parliament, Mr. Miyutu, and he posed this question to the Minister of Mines and Minerals Development, whether the government on what the country's annual copper production was as at December 2023, and how many mines were opened from January 2020 to December 2023, and also what measures have been taken to increase copper production. And at the time the House was going on break, we had Mr. Paul Chala Chipili, Member of Parliament, on the floor, who was making a follow-up question. So business of the House is expected to continue at 17 hours soon after the break. And for now, we take a break.